everybody, I'm Scotty J. Welcome back to Rock Titan Live. We got a very cool guest with us today. We are going over to the land of the trolls, all right? But I'm not talking about all you social media warriors out there. We're talking about FINNTROLL, and we got the lead singer Mathias with us today. Mathias, how are you?
Hello. I'm good. I'm really good, actually. I'm sitting here on my balcony. It's nice weather outside, and I'm just enjoying it. Yeah.
Right on, right. Now, I know we had a little bit of a funny connection now. Can you hear me and see me okay right now?
Yeah, I do.
All right, awesome. Because, man, you are over there in Finland, like you said. And, of course, I'm over here in the United States, just not too far away from Philadelphia or Baltimore. So, yeah, man, like we were saying, I was kind of joking around a little bit ago. You got your brand new album coming out September 18th, and I know the date got pushed back. And the name of the album translates into Vredesvavd. How do you actually pronounce the name of the album, though?
Vredesvavd. It's actually called, yeah.
Vredesvavd.
Yeah, that's really close, actually.
Oh, right.
Yeah, here we go.
I got to work on it, Mathias. I got to work on it. But, yeah. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. You were right up there, because it's a tongue twister, especially if you're not Swedish, Well, even in Swedish, it's a tongue twister. So still, that was pretty decent. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that. Well,
I've heard worse, definitely worse already today.
Vredesvavd, I mean, it's in the blood, it's in my DNA to a certain extent, like we talked about. But so you live in Finland. And obviously, FINNTROLL is a Finnish band, but all of your songs you sing in Swedish, and you yourself are actually from Sweden, yeah?
Well, yeah, I'm from Sweden in that kind of. I think when we immigrated to Finland, well, it was still Sweden back then, so we're talking about 600 years ago here. So
right.
So I'm not.
Now, there's a small part of Finland, from what I understand, that literally is all Swedish. It's technically in Finland, but it's all Swedes.
Yeah, I come from that area, and in my hometown, for example, if you go to the store, you may not get service in Finnish. It's everybody knows Swedish. Well, my hometown is it's sort of 50-50, a little bit more Swedish, but in the area straight out of town, there's no chance you're gonna get, people talking Finnish to you in stores or,
Okay.
So it's actually that much Swedish over there. And I'm born in the middle of this, and I was raised with Swedish-speaking parents as well, so I speak with all my family. I speak Swedish, yeah.
And you speak very good English as well.
Yeah, I was lucky when I was a kid to grow up around English-speaking people as well. And as a Swedish-speaking person, we had Finnish TV, but I didn't understand anything of it. So I actually watched English TV instead. So yeah, Transformer was a big hit back then, and it was all English, no subtitles. So yeah, and then my parents' friends were around and they were speaking English, so I got to practice what I learned from cartoons. So yeah.
Gotcha. Are you on an army base over there? You got military buzzing around you over there?
Not really. No. Finland is quite demilitarized.
I'm ignorant, man. I am totally ignorant. All the FINNTROLL fans are watching this right now, saying, "Man, look!"
We have a small army over here, but yeah,
you do. You have a huge fan base, and they're all going to be watching Rock Titan. And they're like, "Who is that douchebag interviewing Mathias right now? That guy is such a tool." But I love you anyway.
I like to talk about things that is not, a little bit different. I get to talk about days on end about how the recording process went and, what the plans are for the future. I like to delve into this kind of different kind of areas sometimes as well. It's refreshing.
Well, good, because that's exactly what I'm going for, Mathias. Because obviously, I don't speak Swedish. I don't speak Finnish. I don't speak any of the languages that are over there. Like we said, I couldn't even pronounce the name of your album properly. I couldn't pronounce any of the song titles that are coming off this. I've listened to all of the music, and of course, I didn't understand a single lyric. but it sounded great, you know?
Yeah.
So all that being said, I think it's very interesting because, again, FINNTROLL has a huge, huge following. I mean, you guys are like, you know, really, really big, at least over in Europe and in your neck of the woods. I'm not exactly sure of what kind of following you necessarily have in the United States. Do you have a big fan base in the United States?
Well, the last tours over there have been good, and we, for example, we went to the 70,000 Tons of Metal this year, and our concerts, they sort of estimate how many people, you know, were attending our show, and we were up there top 5 of the most people attending on their lists over there. So I think we have a good following over there, and you know, awesome. Maybe not, you know, when you go to really like south of the US, then it's been a little bit less. You know, when you go down to Texas and go over there, it's been a little bit less. But you know, around the New York area has been really awesome. Also, California has been good. Over Seattle, Portland over there, it's also been nice, and Canada has been really good as well. So I say we have a decent following over there. You know, our main territory is of course Central Europe. You know, Germany, France, Holland, and all that. But definitely starting to get a bigger fan base, at least over in the States.
That's cool. I mean, one of the things I find so interesting about your band is that, you know, and you particularly, is that your songs are written in Swedish. You sing in Swedish. So, you know, I'm just thinking to myself, man, you know, that's got to be a little bit of a challenge to get a fan base outside of where you are in Finland or Sweden, you know, because obviously most of the people don't know what you're singing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and it is, and I think it was in the beginning, it was sort of an obstacle as well. And I think it's still, you know, in different parts. For example, well, there's like a rivalry between the Swedish-speaking and the Finnish-speaking over here. And the more east you go in Finland, the less Swedish-speaking, and the more, you know, there's some kind of I wouldn't say hatred, but there's some kind of animosity towards Swedish-speaking, because over there in eastern part of Finland, and really? So that's all set us back probably quite a lot, you know. And still, we don't sell as much tickets as we wanted over there, but still, I don't think, you know. I think the people have in the last 15 years they have sort of grown used to it, and if we would, for example, now change to English or make English versions of the album, that would be a total catastrophe, and I think we would destroy the sound. And I think people also would sort of interpret it as some kind of like us selling out or something.
I was just going to say, yeah, they'd be like, you sellouts. But at the end of the day, Mathias, metal is metal.
Yeah,
you know?
Definitely.
And
yeah.
I mean, and for your guttural style, you know, I mean, it's not always the easiest to interpret it, even when you're singing in English.
Yeah, definitely not. No.
You know?
And also with FINNTROLL, I also think it's, you know, when you go to concert and people sing along, they don't sing along with the lyrics. If there's, you know, some verse that we are shouting, like Trollhorn or something like that, then people, of course, shout along, but they're more singing with the melodies instead of singing with the lyrics, you know.
Now, Mathias, I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I was kind of hoping you might show up in costume for this conversation.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I'm a little let down, man. Yeah. Do you believe
in do the whole ghost thing? You
know? Right? Yeah, Tobias. Yeah, man. Do you believe in trolls?
Well, no, not really, but I believe definitely in trollish people, let's say like that. And that's sort of more what FINNTROLL is about. It's not about, you know, the small fairy tale creatures. It's more about troll-like persons, you know, undeveloped, old, thousands-year-old Finnish, the population, how it was, you know, like in Finland 3,000 years ago, they could actually be, you know, more be interpreted as trolls, and that's how where the name comes from as well, because there was these crusades from Sweden that came here to Christianize the pagan Finland many hundred years ago, and some of the first crusades over here, they got stopped by the Finnish people because they didn't want to, accept Christianity. So they drove them back to Sweden, the Crusaders, and when they came back, those that came alive back to Sweden, they told the tales about that they were stopped by the FINNTROLLs, and that's sort of where it comes from. So it's
right on, man.
Yeah. So the Swedes, they sort of called us FINNTROLLs over here because we stopped the first crusades and didn't really give in, and that's what it's more about than small goblins or trolls or something like that.
Yeah. But now, you know what? It's wild though, because the Scandinavian territories, Sweden, Finland, Norway, Denmark, Iceland, even for that matter, that whole area, you have such a rich history. And a lot of it is rooted in a lot of mythology, I've always considered like that culture very similar to like the Greeks or the Romans, because it was a very polytheistic,
Yeah, definitely. We have our own gods and everything over here. Yeah, definitely. So.
Yeah, and it's interesting now because you speak, fluent Swedish, obviously, and where you live in Finland, are you fluent in Finnish as well?
Yeah, I am nowadays. I wasn't always, but I had to study Finnish in school as well, so I had some background. And then, when I joined FINNTROLL, being in Helsinki I lived there for 9.5 years, and all my friends over there spoke Finnish. In the beginning, they actually spoke English to me, and when I got the position in FINNTROLL, I told them, that I don't want to speak English. I should really learn better Finnish. So please speak Finnish to me from now on. And so I sort of forced myself into learning Finnish. I could do the basic stuff. I could order food in Finnish. I could, I could go to the bank in Finnish and stuff like that. But I didn't know how to tell stories. I didn't know how to communicate that well, so I really had to learn it. So,
right. Getting back into Wrathwoven, and I'm just going to call it Wrathwoven because I'm going to butcher the actual name, and I don't want to do that. So everybody, just deal with it, all right?
Yeah.
But so this is your first album in 7 years.
Yeah, definitely.
What have you been doing during your time off? Now, I know you have other projects.
Yeah.
Have you been working with any of the other bands that you're a part of, or what's been going on the last 7 years?
Yeah, it's weird that people actually think that we had time off, 7 years off. We actually didn't. And that was one of the reasons why I started pushing last year the album that we have to start writing, because people were asking me when the band is going to do a comeback. Stuff like that, and I said people are starting to forget about us, So I really wanted to have the new album before they totally forget about us. But the thing was, we were touring. We were touring so much during these last years. The first since Vredesvavd in 2013, we toured for like 4 years straight, almost there. Did first off the Vredesvavd part of the tour, and then we sort of went straight to this anniversary tour of the Nutfed album. And we are not the band that actually we cannot write anything on tour, so it's usually when you get home you take a couple of weeks off, do nothing, watch Netflix, and then you start writing music. But you have to sort of to get the stress from being on the road away and everything, and actually have time to sit down and do something. And that's what we've been about. But when we did sit down and start working on material, like many years ago already, it didn't work. It didn't sound right. It was the songs, they were all over the place. They would have never fit on the same album. There was no red thread in the whole thing. It was going in different directions, and it didn't feel right. So we just went on, playing, and we did some, of not tours to places that we haven't been before, or like that we never really that often go to, like Australia. Even went to Africa to play, and we played Asia, South America, and stuff like that. And all of a sudden, many years have passed, and it's already like 5 years since the last album, and we were over the cycle already. So yeah, we have been touring a lot, and it was actually, let's say, 80% of the album is actually written, within the last year.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I mean, I think it's so interesting, too, because, I mean, you talk about all the touring and the inability to really write new material when you're touring. And when you're road dogs the way you guys are, it is what it is. But I know that, for Vredesvavd, this was originally, I mean, September 18th wasn't the original release date. I mean, this was something that you had already anticipated. Obviously, would the pandemic be to blame for that date getting moved?
That was the pandemic's fault. It was actually gonna be last weekend. Was actually gonna be the release, so we had to push it with a month, and that was production, issues, because they had to cut staff at the pressing plants and stuff like that. So yeah,
right on.
So but we were happy actually that it wasn't pushed more than a month. It's 7 years is a long time, so 1 month is good. But we were afraid at some point that we would have to push it, like half a year or something, until so we can start touring directly after the release. But we decided that we will not do that. People will understand, that we cannot go out there, and I think people also know that, appreciate it that we actually release it now. And people have, during lockdowns or just quarantine or whatever is going on in different countries right now, that they appreciate that we actually are releasing it, now, and not pushing it half a year into the future that we could have easily done this time, because, But
no, man, I mean, and that makes total sense. Now, given the unique times that we have been in, and you finally get out this new album. Well, the funny thing is, like, so many artists, because everyone's been, quarantining, in their own isolation, their own bubbles and whatnot. And so everyone's just been writing, and everyone's like, man, I got a double album ready to rock and roll, It's like, it's not even going to be 2 or 3 years, which is kind of standard, between albums, like 2 or 3 years tops is usually when you see that staggered rate. Does FINNTROLL already have the next follow-up to Vredesvavd?
Well, during this 7 years, we have written lots of songs, and some of them didn't make the cut for this album because it was too different. So we threw all of everything we have written. We didn't, throw anything in the trash. We just moved it back into the vault that we have, and there's lots of riffs. There's not really like finished songs. There's maybe 1 or 2 finished songs, but there's lots of riffs there. And if the time is right, we can actually put them back together. It was funny when we talked about, you said that I had different projects as well. So the lockdown that we were in was actually bearing some fruit. I released a full-length album with a band called And Oceans, old Finnish black metal band that decided to do a reunion a couple of years back. First album in 18 years there.
Wow.
We released this in May, and we have already, with that project, we already have 3 or 4 new songs for the next album with that, and that's all due to this, being at home, being quarantined. So it's lots of stuff happening. It's a sad situation, but it also it brought something good. There was also something positive in all this negativity, and I think creation is sort of flowing for everyone.
Well, when you've got the kind of time that we've all had, it definitely gets the creative juices flowing.
Yeah.
Probably a lot of self-reflection.
Yeah.
What am I doing with my life?
Yeah, exactly.
What should I be doing with my life? But it's wild. You talk about the projects you've been on. Aside from FINNTROLL, it's like, man, when you go 7 years between albums, 18 years, between albums, I might have to start calling you Lazarus instead of Mathias, man, because you're like the resurrection guy here, man. You're bringing everything back from the depths of nothingness. But so, all right, you got to get going. I know, and man, it's a crazy media cycle for me as well. But because it's been 7 years, since the last release from FINNTROLL, what can all your fans expect? Do we got some consistency, or have you guys just totally evolved? I mean, is it going to be the same sound that everyone was used to, or can people expect something totally different?
Well, it depends on, in what era of FINNTROLL you sort of started to listening to us, because this album, for some reason, we always like to find some kind of twist to the album, something new, so we sort of reinvent ourselves in some kind of way. And that's also why we didn't release an album earlier, because we didn't find that kind of the red thread for the album. But this time around, actually, that red thread come in the form of going back in time a little bit. So this album sort of draws parallels quite a lot to well, especially the Jakt and Steed album, also the Natfed album. This, if you would put it somewhere in time, if you wouldn't know which years, this could actually be the album that was released after the Natfed album in terms of the sound of it. So,
okay.
So this one was on purpose. We wanted a little bit like a faster album. We wanted a more melodic album, because the last albums have been kind of like riff-based album, and now we wanted to concentrate more on like keyboard melodies, guitar melodies, and stuff like that. And for some reason, that brought often sort of like an older sound back again. So, so for the old school FINNTROLL sound, there's even stuff that could have fit on Midnatt in Sweden, the first album back in '99. Wow. So yeah, there's a lot of that, sort of nostalgic FINNTROLL in there. But there's also, for fans of like my era of FINNTROLL, for the last 3 albums, there's also a lot of that in there. And also, of course, the sound is updated. It sounds pretty modern without being, too modern. It's not a modern metal album or something like that. No. But the sounds are actually, they are really like nowadays kind of production to everything, and with a little bit older style kind of riffs here and there. So yeah.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, so all FINNTROLL fans, no matter when you became a fan, in the lifetime of this band that's been around for 25 years,
Yeah, 23.
Yeah, oh my God, man. So everybody's going to have a little something. And that's very cool. Well, Mathias, thank you so much for joining us on Rock Titan Live today, man. It's been an absolute blast getting to know you and, talk about everything you have going on. It's very exciting. And again, everybody, we've got Vredesvavd. All right, I can't even do it, So September 18th is when it's coming out. So, yeah, man, we'll definitely all be looking forward to that. And I will be putting out a review on rocktitan.tv, not .com, not .org. Rocktitan.tv is where you will find my review of this, as well as this most awesome podcast with Mathias. So, yeah, everybody, please go out, subscribe. Rock Titan on YouTube, just YouTube/Rock Titan. That's it. And then you'll see my ugly mug, and you'll find this awesome conversation with Mathias. Thank you again, sir. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been cool to talk to you today. And thank you for having me.
Right on, man. Right on. Well, be safe. And everybody, I'm Scotty J, Rock Titan Live. We're out.